Hi, my name is Deborah Tavares, and I'm holding a meter that we can't let them take off of our homes. This is an analog meter, the meter that we've always had on our homes, where the meter reader came on a monthly basis, read our usage, sent us the bill, and we decided how much electricity we wanted to pay for. We must get these back on our homes. If there's one single go-home message that you leave with, it's the restoration of our safe analog meters. Since finding out about smart meters, we found out that it is a conspiracy. There are a few evil people in this world conspiring against us. There's a war within our nation with frequencies. We don't see it, we don't smell it, and we do not taste it. And it is rendering all of us very ill. You will hear about connecting the dots that we have made between inventions of crisis and chaos that don't exist in their documents. The New World Order Exposed will talk about the surveillance that they told us was going to happen back in the 60s. It was too outlandish for us to read some of those documents and believe it back then. But those documents tell us now exactly what they planned then and what they are going to do now and what they haven't quite completed yet. We're going to expose documents from the organizations themselves. We're going to talk about technocracy. Most importantly, I want you to look at the visualization on the screen. I want you to think about that when you think of smart meters. They are a global electronic incarceration, enslavement through weaponized microwave technology. They are targeting each and every single one of us 24/7, 365. And it is enslaving our world. This is a UN Agenda 21 attack on us. It is a web of slavery. They want to take it all. When you talk about UN Agenda 21, you must realize they invented the lies to create the fear for us to believe that there could be any need to follow global warming, climate crisis. That was all created so that they could take away our freedoms. And this is one of the most global takeaway of freedoms that we have. And this is coming and maybe at all of your doorsteps, at your thresholds right now. This is enslavement of the population. Again, this is an assault upon each and every one of us. It's an attack using frequencies. We don't see it. We don't taste it. But it is affecting all of us. These are quiet weapons for war. They have declared war upon us. They just have not told us. But we're going to connect the dots today. We are definitely in a life and death battle. This is an issue that we have the power to remove. And I want you to keep that in mind as I tell you about the horrific plans that they schemed and invented as we move along. We have the power to take these meters off. In fact, it is our obligation to stop destructive government from doing this to us. This is a hidden agenda. It's stealthily being brought into our communities, again, through UN Agenda 21. It's a sustainable agenda. You've heard Dr. Stan talk about that already this morning. It is, in short, rationing of every single thing. You can think of it like this: taking away your private property, taking away everything you know, rationing your water, your food supply, and ultimately you will find charging you for the air that you breathe. You won't be living in your homes, and you will be pulsated with frequencies. This is all based on the lie of greenhouse gas and the climate crisis and the need to reduce emissions. But actually, this scheme was devised back in the 1930s, and this is through technocracy. Technocracy was a scheme that was turned away by the people in the 1930s. It was devised as a technocratic takeover. People say, what is technocratic? Well, I'm going to tell you. Technology. They didn't have it in the 30s. So therefore, they didn't get this scheme launched. Now that we have advanced technologies, they have launched a major attack on us through technologies. And in March, Lord Monckton came to the United States. You're going to see a short snippet of his warning to us. He is horrified that he is going to see the West be lost completely forever. We heard his warning. Now, while this lecture was prior to the Copenhagen Treaty that was never signed, you need to know that what he warned us against then, and even though it wasn't signed, the warning is more critical even now than then, because they have gone in the back door. They are in your communities today. It is called ICLEI, International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. And even if your city has not signed you up on it or under it without your consent or without your vote, most likely they are following the agenda of international policies, treasonous international policies. This would not be happening to us if there was not treason. So we're going to listen to Dr. Lord Monckton and his warning to us as Americans.
Because they'd captured it. Now the apotheosis is at hand. They are about to impose a communist world government on the world. You have a president who has very strong sympathies with that point of view. He's going to sign. He'll sign anything. He's a Nobel Peace Laureate. Of course he'll sign it. And the trouble is this. If that treaty is signed, your constitution says that it takes precedence over your constitution. And you can't resile from that treaty unless you get the agreement of all the other states parties. And because you'll be the biggest paying country, they're not going to let you out. So, thank you, America. You were the beacon of freedom to the world. It is a privilege merely to stand on this soil of freedom while it is still free. But in the next few weeks, unless you stop it, your president will sign your freedom, your democracy and your prosperity away forever, and neither you nor any subsequent government you may elect will have any power whatsoever to take it back again. That is how serious it is. I have read the treaty. I've seen this stuff about government and climate debt and enforcement. They are going to do this to you, whether you like it or no. But I think it is here in your great nation, which I so love and I so admire. It is here that perhaps at this 11th hour, at the 59th minute and the 59th second, you will rise up and you will stop your president from signing that dreadful treaty, that purposeless treaty, for there is no problem with the climate, and even if there were, economically speaking, there's nothing we can do about it. So I end by saying to you the words that Winston Churchill addressed to your president in the darkest hour before the dawn of freedom in the Second World War. He quoted from your great poet Longfellow. Sail on, O ship of state. Sail on, O Union, strong and great. Humanity, with all its fears, with all the hopes of future years, is hanging breathless on thy fate. Thank you.
Smart meters are only a device. It is only the first of a diabolical plot against all of us and all of you. It is the device that's going to attach on your home, but it is going to feed more than you can possibly know. And these are the dots that we're going to connect. I want you to note this. We found this in a cemetery. It's the Moloch of totalitarianism. And it was found in St. Petersburg, Russia. It's a memorial to victims of oppression. This is showing technocracy, technologies. This is showing us in advance through their art what they plan to do. That human is a result of being taken over and totally suppressed. This is a system of total oppression. It is a system that recognizes absolutely no limits of authority at all. It strives to regulate every aspect of your life without regard for your life. That is why they are deploying smart meters on you. That is why we see tears behind many CPUC meetings here in California with people that have been damaged and injured. They do not care. They are rolling over us. They are deploying these. It is going to amass total control of media. No media. Total control of media. Gone. We have not heard about this. Our politicians don't speak about this. Voiceless. It's going to take over our economy, our freedom of speech. It's going to range in widespread use of terror and surveillance, mass surveillance. That is what this grid mesh network is designed to do. These regimes stay in power because they embrace encompassing propaganda. This is another example of the frequency radiation being warred upon us. This illustrates what you should look at and how you should view cell phone towers as you pass by them. They are being forced up on us by our government. Local cities don't have a choice. Their choice is how quickly they must concede to a cell phone tower being erected in your town, in my town, hidden in trees, in vineyards, disguised. These are weaponized. We encourage you, please, to go to our website and learn about the weaponization of these towers and, again, the heavy assault of frequencies. This is a house. This is not your regular house. This is a house after they've taken you over completely through technology. The meter that you see in the upper diagram that's attached to the outside of that house has a two-way antenna. It collects and reads and sends back your personal data. It harvests everything about you. When you are forced to get the RFID chipped appliances, which is going to be the success of this grid mesh network, make no mistake about it. The meter on your house outside is just the collection device. They are intending for each and every one of you to repurchase every single appliance and device that plugs in to your socket in your home with RFID chipped appliances. Think about our stimulus package that went in our bailout package, all funding this. GE just moved and relocated to Russia and to China. Why? They're going to globalize and standardize appliances worldwide. We're going to be forced. If we do not buy a new appliance, then we will be considered using inefficient, old clunker appliances. And our three-tiered at time of use billing will reflect our non-compliance to using efficient appliances. Again, the distribution and energy of resources under technocracy is the must about that is measured. It's a measured control of everything 24/7, 365. Again, it is a total takeover. One of the definitions that I found was we are smashed to smithereens. And I thought that best described where we're left at the end of the day if we don't stop this at our doorsteps now. Everything about us will be gone. This is a report. I urge all of you to watch this. This is a report on Iron Mountain. It's a blueprint for tyranny. It's been available since the mid-60s. It'll tell you what's happening now. The Kennedy administration ordered a top-down secret meeting in the catacombs of a nuclear weapons plant in upstate New York. They schemed a plot. They invented global warming. They needed to replace the fear of war and put us into fear with pollution that they said they would create to force us into submission. That is what happened. When you see this documentary or you read this documentary, you'll understand the plot. The plot was to collapse America into a new world order, to take away our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. And in order to do that, they had to create a fear so massive that we would succumb to their requirements. It's taking away everything. This plot, this plan is devoid of morality, of ethics, of life itself. It has no regard at all, period. I would urge all of you, please watch this. It was available in the 60s. We had an opportunity to see it then. The next documents that we want you to watch, and Dr. Stan mentioned it in his presentation, were the New World Order Exposed. It was a plan in the 1969. Dr. Day brought members of his student staff in for a meeting, and he told them what was going to occur. This is absolutely unbelievable. It talks about the plan that they hatched and schemed, and we didn't know about it. They said that there was a force and a power of people and men and women organizing and redirecting all of society globally. And the group was so large and it wielded political and financial influence through force and power to determine major events involving countries around the world. They said that we, all of us, were too trusting. They looked at our hard work and our dedication to our families and the fact that we were not thinking evil thoughts every single day, and they considered us dumb and stupid and useless feeders. They talked about they would know eventually everything about us on computers. They told us this in the 60s. They would track our purchases. They would know what we're doing, what we're spending, who we have in our homes, every single thing about us. They talked about the Chinese experience when the Chinese government wanted to enforce the one-child family. They said that they would cut off the education to the unwanted second child. And if that didn't work, they were going to cut down and cut off the food to that unwanted second child. This plan, this grid, is going to monitor our food supply. Make no mistake about it. It's going to monitor everything you do, every single thing. They talked about falsifying the science and the data and creating what they wanted to their ends. They've done that. They've done that. We can see that through the climate change and global warming. They talked about surveilling us with implants. They said they could watch us on our television sets. They can. We just needed to have gone back and read, so we would have been able to avoid this conversation today. We could have stopped it back then, but we must stop it now. The skin implants, they're just a half a year away. They said that they would have audio monitors in case the authorities wanted to hear us in our homes. We were told just a month ago by the CIA they would monitor us in our homes. Their documents, they told us. This is happening. They have voice-to-skull frequency communication. They have directed energies through frequencies. They can target individuals, creating voices in one's head, causing psychological devastation. We have a Freedom of Information Act, Army document, very disturbing, on our website. It talks about the technologies they invented to target individuals. They have targeted individuals, and they have targeted each and every one of us. Initially, when PG&E put in the newspaper in Northern California, they told us the benefit of the smart meter is that we would receive energy alerts by email and phone and other notifications. They said that we could take advantage of timed varying pricing plans, that we could track our hourly consumption, which is not true. We can't do that. They said we could get faster restoration in power outage circumstance, and that we could start and stop our electrical gas service more quickly when we moved. And for that, they are imploding our economy. They funded this with stimulus funds, and the rest of the money is going to be coming out of your pocket. This is how this grid is going to be paid. They just haven't told you the whole story. What they did not say is that PG announced deployment of smart meters that will invade your homes and spy on you with chips and radiate you with radiation that will cause you health effects that will be irreversible. They didn't tell you that in this article. They also did not tell you that they are a member of ICLEI, International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. We like to call it International Criminal Law, Eliminating Independence. They believe and ascribe to the reduction of greenhouse gas. That is a scam. That's a lie. They are basing everything that they are doing to us on a lie. If you go onto the website, you will find that PG&E is affiliated with ICLEI. Also, we found out that the smart meters are not UL certified. The underwriter's laboratory confirmed that the meters were never tested for fire safeties. There have been dozens, if not thousands, of homes that have burned down across the country. This is also an example of a multiple family apartment home. These are still safe electric analog meters that have been locked down by the owner. The owner did not want to see those tenants harmed by the frequencies. The owner did not want uninsurable liability consequences when massive class action lawsuits were launched to create piracy of private property. There's going to be thousands of property owners in multifamily homes and properties that are unaware of the landslide of litigation that is headed towards them. These tenants cannot live or survive with multiple meters on their buildings. Many of them are electrically, magnetically sensitive. Between 3 and 10% of the global population, and that is rising, become so sick they have to move away to the outskirts or live in their cars, leave their jobs to get away from the electrosmog. This is real. This is real. These people are very sick. They are the canaries in the coal mine. If you are still well enough, you have to help fight this, because it's only a matter of time before these frequencies take a toll, and you will not be able to be helpful in fighting this off. We had a whistleblower at a utility company advise us that there's a special meter that they install on 1 in every 500 to 700 homes. They do this if the customer is good paying, if the customer's meter is located in an easily accessible location, not behind gates and not behind dogs. And this is the reward. These homes are miniature cell phone towers. These owners are not told. These owners are becoming more sick as these homes are bathed in thousands of meter reads that are coming on to this collection device. You can tell if you have this special meter and if you are a special customer, because you'll see the projection off the wall. That projection is about 3 inches. The typical smart meter attaches to that. So if you are concerned about whether you are graced with the PG&E's happy to have you as a customer program, go and check the meter next to you if you have a smart meter on your neighbors, and you can confirm. It also attaches to a phone line. You can go on our website and you can see this meter there as well. Another component of this grid mesh network they did not tell us about, but equally deadly, is the dirty electricity. Dr. Sam Millam is a whistleblower. He has told us about dirty electricity. The industry is covering this up. The toxic facts are covered up by the utility companies, the cell phone industry, the CPUC, and our health departments and the FDA. What dirty electricity means in layman's terms: there's overfrequencies on the power lines. These power lines and these wires also go inside of your home, between the walls, between the joists in your walls. These frequencies leap out off of your power lines and into you. Anything in your home, if you have wire box spring mattresses, this conducts. This is an antenna. Women's under wire bras, you are getting additionally irradiated. This is an antenna. You were not told. You must keep these meters off of your homes. This is the Department of Army. This is the military document. This is extremely disturbing. They tell us exactly what has happened. They know that weapons were weaponized technologies years ago, that these were used heavily by the military in battlefield applications. And the CIA became very, very interested in these technologies and how they would influence someone's mental state and how they could harm without wounds or without bleeding. They know. They know that it creates infertility, depopulation, mind control, and that big pharma advantages mightily. They know. These people are not stupid. They're just very, very evil. Very evil. The military document will tell us, and does tell us, it increases brain temperature, causes disruption of working memory, resulting in disorientation. Every single human can be affected and is affected by this microwave frequency. Every single one. The inability to consolidate working memory, People are feeling buzzing and ticking in their ears. The sound is very disorientating. This is what was intended by the military against our foe, was to disorientate the enemy. You hear noises behind your ears. People are becoming psychologically challenged. This is emotionally being drugged down when they go to the doctor to put them out of their misery. No one is understanding the frequency of assault in our communities. These microwave pulsations go many, many distances. They travel distances. There's loss of consciousness, and the frequency is modulated. This is important to remember. The frequencies are modulated. They pulsate. They can be increased. They can be turned up in your home like a thermostat. It affects everything about you, every single thing. Again, these frequencies are used for targeting total groups of people, not just individuals in the homes, but total groups. It's persistent, it's pervasive. Low-frequency humming sounds are causing many people from all over the world not to sleep. Without sleep, your immune system is less effective. You become sick. These people are sleep deprived. Areas in the world are England and Russia, New Mexico, New Zealand, and the list goes on. From compliments of the New York Rockefeller's University, they're now telling us that radio waves are ideal for remote human cell manipulation. Remotely, they are manipulating our cells. They're talking about the ability to modify our behavior, our genes, without ever needing to cut inside of us. No bleeding, no wounds, frequencies. They talk about the frequency attack upon the people in Iraq right now. There are plastic devices called poppers. Poppers are small domes. They are hidden in communities in Iraq by Iraqis or people working for our government that really may or may not know what these devices do. They're transmitted. They're transmissions. They are activated offshore by our U.S. Navy. They have distances of a half a mile. These frequencies go through concrete, go through metal, and go through our skulls. The Iraqi people are unaware of this silent, invisible war being waged upon them. The benefit of doing this to them and targeting them is they lose all their incentive for further resistance and revenge. Think about that. They lose all incentive and resistance for revenge. This is a symptoms list that has been compiled by thousands of scientific doctors and research. Again, this list is long. It is the same thing you see in the military document. We have now collaborated that with scientists across the world and in the United States. Confusion, memory loss, loss of focus, dementia, Alzheimer's, headaches, pulsating heart palpitations, seizures, nervousness. The list goes on. For those of you that have amalgam dental fillings, get them out. You were not told. These frequencies cause the vapor of mercury to leach out of your fillings into your brain. So if you have friends that have amalgams or you have amalgams, get them removed. Get this list. Look at this list. On the other side, we have things you can do that help you. This is a list of the, this is a compiling of a friend that lives in Southern California who did several months of comparison of their cost for the smart meter billing and found that it was a 50% increase. Now, I want to remind you This is only with the smart meter devices on the buildings. They have not yet forced us to purchase RFID chipped appliances. Once this forced RFID chipped appliance program is mandated, and it will be, our costs are going to exponentially skyrocket. Don't I remember somebody saying our utility costs will exponentially skyrocket? This is the Division of Ratepayer Advocacy in the state of California. This is a legislative group that was put in place in between the consumer, the utility company, and the Public Utility Commission. They advocate for cost for us. They reviewed the Southern California Edison's Smart Connect cost savings program for us, the customers, and found no cost saving benefit. Found no cost saving benefit. This is a group, it's called IEEE. The name of it is the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. It's important for us to know this because they went to our White House and advocated safety standards for the United States. This group is sponsored and funded by the U.S. Department of Energy, the World Bank, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Yahoo, IBM, NASA, and the list goes on. They advocated for the levels of safe frequencies that the United States was able to have. The United States is one of several countries, nations in the world that has the highest levels of allowable frequencies for us. Russia won't allow this level of frequency in Russia. This is a global-wide area of monitoring. They tell us in their own documents, in their own words, this is rationing. This is restricting of consumption. This is total control. Rationing will be forced upon us. There will be intermittent supply resources that will change more frequently. They're going to access our ability to have electricity when they choose. They say that the politicians are afraid to tell us that the cost is more than we possibly know. They don't even know what the cost of this global grid is going to be. But it's going to be very expensive. But they're certain that we're going to accept it because we want a sustainable environment. We want green. This is what these groups are saying. We want green. And because we do, we're going to accept costs that they don't even know where it's going. They also tell us that this smart grid is one of the biggest changes that we're going to see in our entire lifetime. That wasn't back there in that PG&E ad. I think we would have wanted to know just to what degree our lives were going to be changed forever. I think we would have wanted to know. They're telling us also there's no single problem larger than standardizing this grid. Essentially, this grid will know no borders. They will connect and cross borders. They will have outside public displays on the outside of some buildings, so all of your neighbors will be able to see your energy consumption and disgrace you and shame you into lowering your use because you are tipping the earth upside down and causing global warming. This is an infrastructure, and it was only planned to last 20 years. An amount of money, we don't know how much it's going to cost, and going to be obsolete in 20 years. They assume that we're going to pay for this, as I had mentioned, and this is going to be one of the biggest issues, is our agreeing to accept it. They need to have our compliance. There's conversation about California and other states that are not being compliant There are concerns also, they say, that we have concerns that our utilities are trying to control us, you think? They also say that this is shifting us into renewables, solar and wind. They're not telling us that because of the unreliability of solar and wind, they're also going to have as standby nuclear energy. They have not told us this is part of the global plan. But also it's important to know, as many of you do, they control the weather. So you give renewables, solar and wind, and they control the weather. Think about that. They're going to control the renewables that they say they want us and are forcing us to have. They say that eventually we're going to want to know and we're going to need to know how much it's going to cost us to roast a chicken in our oven compared to how much it's going to cost us to cook a chicken in the pan. It's going to be that expensive that is going to matter to us. This is a map of the Wildlands Project. This is a map showing that half of the United States is going to be off limits to humans. The reason I am showing this map in the context of this grid is there is going to be nowhere for the sensitives to flee to. There are going to be no safe havens in remote rural areas. Rural areas are sprawl, unsustainable, not doable. They are taking our property away and maneuvering us in to human settlement zones where the increased radiation and pulsate frequencies are going to injure, damage, and kill us that much more quickly. I urge all of you to take a look at this map. Again, this is planned obsolescence, planned termination of this grid that is intending to collapse our pocketbooks, our economy. Also beware, you're going to get advertisements in the mail. And I fondly call this when a smart appliance spying, radiating program now has been launched. These are the RFID chips. And they now are advocating this as a prize. You can contact your utility company and possibly win an RFID chipped appliance. These are out now. They're available now. Don't take it as a gift. This is spying. This is radiating. This is watching you. This is a camera. This is what the chip looks like that will be in the appliances. The CIA admits that we will be spied upon. The CIA director, Petraeus, said they will no longer need spies. Bugs are planted in our homes. We are putting them there. We don't want these there. We are not wanting these spies in our homes. This is the global chipping. This is going to start next March of 2013. This is part of the grid spy network. Know what we are getting geared and herded into. Also, we are having our paper currency collapsed into a carbon currency. The success of technocracy requires that our economic system be based on energy accounting instead of priced accounting. You will get certificates, and you will redeem these certificates. If you do not use your allotted energy, you lose it. This is the grid. This is the spy data collecting center that's being built right now in Bluffdale, Utah. This is being designed. This is the CIA Petraeus said it will spy on us and it will collect data and harvest it and store it and take photographs of us through our dishwasher and our refrigerator. This is in Wired magazine. We know it's going to spy. This is over 1 million square feet. One of the former employees from NSA said, he gave a thumbs up. He said, we are this far from a turnkey totalitarian state. They know it. Everybody's a target. Every single person. They are going to smash us to smithereens. This is what this means. But we can stop it. This is a group now that has been officially launched. This is called the Global Smart Grid Federation. It's an international smart grid action group. The purpose of this group is to tell governments how they can force these meters on us, how the government can punish us and force these meters. Take a look at this. This is how they're going to stealthily try to convince you that these meters are good for you. They're advantaging you. I want to tell you, we cannot hide behind closed doors. Closed doors won't protect us or give us privacy anymore. The radiation will travel through the doors and we will be spied. The world is a dangerous place. Not because of people who are evil, but because of people who don't do anything about it. Albert Einstein told us that. This is a deployment map. This is showing how the United States is being set up for deployment. This is the attack map by the grid. The yellow or orange refers to the highest percentage of deployment in the nation. We have been making an impact. We have been slowing this down. We must continue to take action and refuse these meters at all cost. We are waking up other parts of the world. This is what SMUD in Central California, the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, said. This is archived in audio. Their director said, don't tell the people about the opt-out program. Just cut them off if they don't want the meter and leave them in the dark. Quote, jack up the cost so high on the opt-out to pressure them, even though it's a facade. Threaten them with disconnection of service. Threaten to call the sheriff. SMUD will only contact customers who have already objected to the smart meters, and they won't tell the rest of their customer base that the opt-out program even exists. They won't put it on the website so that you'll see it. They're worried about the illegal fees they are charging. It's in violation of Prop 26 that requires a 2/3 vote. They also SMUD wants to maintain their reputation. They don't want any pushback over the smart meters. They don't want to defend a lawsuit. This is quotes. Who's orchestrating this? Well, Gary's going to talk more about that. We talked about the power brokers of the world and the banks and the global elites. I also want to have everyone watch this as you might take off your smart meters as you go home Monday and call. If you're in California, call. You can get these meters removed. You need to remove them. You want to make certain that the meters do not have an antenna in them. When you call to get your meter removed, you want to have a meter that has no antenna. They should not be able to drive down your street and get a meter read. This is a stealthful, deceptive, what can we figure? Nothing else but stealthful and lack of truth. But watch out for that. Please go to our website. This is a flyer that you must print off. Keep them in your car. Keep them in your purses. Print off signs. Put them in your windshield. Put them on your front lawn. This is how you tell people and your neighbors. When you accept the intolerable, you wake up to a nation and you are enslaved. We do not need to accept this. This is a global surveillance, incarceration, radiating grid that will kill us, reduce the population. Copy this flyer. Keep your safe analog meter. Never negotiate your rights and safety and health away, giving up to things that will damage you. Remember, say no to health effects that will radiate you. Say no to dirty electricity. Say no to the DNA breakage, sleep disruption, headaches, heart palpitations, infertility, cancer, disorientation, ringing of the ears. Don't negotiate with harmful policies. Don't let utility companies commit crime along with an essential public service. Crime is crime. The assault upon us is invisible. They are attacking us with frequencies that we can't see, taste, or touch. These are silent weapons. These are and is, we are at war. I want to leave in closing that this level of tyranny will be our accepted. What we accept will be what we get. And I want to tell you that this evil archy will never be satisfied. Enough will not be enough. They'll want more. They'll want more, and they'll want more. There won't be anything to take away. We must stop this. It is up to us. We are the people on this planet at this time. This is our job. I urge all of you to refuse these deadly smart meters.
If I wanted America to fail, to follow, not lead, to suffer, not prosper, to despair, not dream, I'd start with energy. I'd cut off America's supply of cheap, abundant energy. I couldn't take it by force. So I'd make Americans feel guilty about using the energy that heats their homes, fuels their cars, runs their businesses, and powers their economy. I'd make cheap energy expensive, so that expensive energy would seem cheap. I would empower unelected bureaucrats to all but outlaw America's most abundant sources of energy. And after banning its use in America, I'd make it illegal for American companies to ship it overseas. If I wanted America to fail, I'd use their schools to teach one generation of Americans that their factories and their cars will cause a new ice age. And I'd muster a straight face so I could teach the next generation that they're causing global warming. When it's cold out, I'd call it climate change instead. I'd imply that America's cities and factories could run on wind power and wishes. I'd teach children how to ignore the hypocrisy of condemning logging, mining, and farming while having roofs over their heads, heat in their homes, and food on their tables. I would never teach children that the free market is the only force in human history to uplift the poor, establish the middle class, and create lasting prosperity. Instead, I demonize prosperity itself so that they will not miss what they will never have. If I wanted America to fail, I would create countless new regulations and seldom cancel old ones. They would be so complicated that only bureaucrats, lawyers, and lobbyists could understand them. That way small businesses with big ideas wouldn't stand a chance. And I would never have to worry about another Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, or Steve Jobs. I would ridicule as flat earthers those who urge them to lower energy costs by increasing supply. And when the evangelists of common sense try to remind people about the laws of supply and demand, I'd enlist the sympathetic media to drown them out. If I wanted America to fail, I would empower unaccountable bureaucracy seated in a distant capital to bully Americans out of their dreams and their property rights. I'd send federal agents to raid guitar factories for using the wrong kind of wood. I'd force homeowners to tear down their own homes built on their own land. I'd make it almost impossible for farmers to farm, miners to mine, loggers to log, and builders to build. Because I don't believe in free markets, I'd invent false ones. I'd devise fictitious products like carbon credits and trade them in imaginary markets. I'd convince people that this would create jobs and be good for the economy. If I wanted America to fail, for every concern I'd invent a crisis, and for every crisis I'd invent the cause. Like shutting down entire industries and killing tens of thousands of jobs in the name of saving spotted owls. And when everyone learned the stunning irony that the owls were victims of their larger cousins and not people, it would already be decades too late. If I wanted America to fail, I'd make it easier to stop commerce than to start it, easier to kill jobs than create them, more fashionable to resent success than to seek it. When industries seek to create jobs, I'd file lawsuits to stop them, and then I'd make taxpayers pay for my lawyers. If I wanted America to fail, I would transform the environmental agenda from a document of conservation to an economic suicide pact. I would concede entire industries to our economic rivals by imposing regulations that cost trillions. I would celebrate those who preach environmental austerity in public while indulging a lavish lifestyle in private. I convince Americans that Europe has it right and that America has it wrong. If I wanted America to fail, I would prey on the goodness and the decency of ordinary Americans. I would only need to convince them that all of this is for the greater good. If I wanted America to fail, I suppose I wouldn't change a thing.